So we got our first fight. Our fighters are about to come out here soon. And like I said, we got 19 fights. We got 38 fighters. How many belts are on the line tonight? I think we got five belts on the line tonight. So on top of maybe some of the inexperience we're going to see, I mean, when you're talking about over a quarter of the fights, they're going to be a belt on the line. We're going to see some boxers that can get after it. We got a few female cards, right? We got the three female fighters, or three female fights on the card. It's going to be a terrific event. And boy, the Memorial Auditorium, this is a beautiful facility. I went to a couple of your fights, one down in Visalia. This is probably the best facility I've been at for these fights. And you know, you got the first fighter in the ring, and what a joy it's going to be ringside here as we got Marcus Molinar from the U.S. Navy.
From the U.S. Navy.
7.5 years in the U.S. Navy. Just started boxing in March of 2024. So keep that in mind as you're watching Marcus here. Only been fighting for 7 months. Had a 2-month camp to get to this point.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Marcus actually fought this past April in Visalia when I was commentating. So I was able to
So that means he started a month before that fight. Absolutely. When he fought in Visalia in his first ever fight.
Absolutely. And now it looks like we have coming out of the blue corner, Kyle Wild Boy Gibson, out of the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Atwater. He's been with his department for 9 years. He currently trains at Stand Your Ground, located in Atwater, California, and his trainer, he's got Coach Fuentes, who's been training him. So according to Kyle, his camp, 2 weeks.
So that's what we talked about earlier, yeah. Right? It's hard to get in a full camp, right? How long were your camps when you were fighting?
You know, I would say that when you are fighting for a belt, right, the more competitive it gets, obviously. So now, I would say minimum 8 weeks.
Right.
Minimum.
So this is 1/4 of the time. So
yeah.
Again, and your hats off. I'm not wearing a hat, but you are. Your hats off to those that are competing, any of them. But a 2-week camp, and he's willing to put himself out here and step into the ring and compete. And obviously this is a violent sport, but really what it is, it's compete, it's discipline, and how hard can you work, and it's all about outworking your opponent. And it's going to be fun to watch this one.
Absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, we have a handful of fighters that fight from Federal Bureau of Prisons, specifically Atwater fighting. I also do want to mention this, and I will mention it for any of the fighters from Federal Bureau of Prisons fighting. They want to dedicate this fight to Mark Fisher, one of their partners at USP Atwater. End of watch, August 9th, 2024. So we want to make sure we recognize Mark Fisher.
This is the first fight. Let's get this going. Fighting out of the red corner and representing the United States Navy, give it up for Marcus Molinar. And his opponent, fighting out of the blue corner, representing Federal Bureau of Prisons Atwater, give it up for Kyle Gibson.
So Molinar is in the white trunks, and Gibson, Kyle Wild Boy Gibson, is in the black trunks as the fighters touch gloves, and we're underway here. Oh, there's no feeling. They're not feeling each other out here. They're going right after it.
Yeah, both. Yeah, it looks like Wild Boy is just kind of going there, being very aggressive.
He's not giving Molinar any room to breathe,
No
but now they
breathing
find their
room.
ways back in the middle of the ring.
Molinar just throwing that nice jab. So I like what I'm seeing from Molinar, throwing those jabs, but he needs to bring his guard back.
Gibson connected a few times there with a couple
connected
hooks.
A few hooks right there.
When you love the aggression, right? Both these guys haven't been fighting for very long, but not scared of the moment.
You know, and one thing I do want to mention, right? Looks like Molinar has a 0-1 record. Gibson has an 0-2 record, but ring experience, right? I think that's something that's underrated. People tend to take a look at their record. However, they've been in here. They've been under the lights before. Their experience, or they have experience. having done this before.
So would you say after you get that one fight under your belt, is that a big deal? That very helpful to get that one fight under your belt?
Absolutely. Anytime you can be in there and feel the canvas underneath your feet, that's good experience. Obviously, it's a great start to build off of.
So all that energy from early in the round, it seems like both fighters may have come out with too much energy here, but now they're trying to catch their breaths. But you love the way Gibson's really pressing the whole first round. Mm-hmm. He's had Molinar against the ropes.
Nice uppercut from Molinar. Molinar's throwing that left uppercut. Yeah, and I'd like to see Molinar get back to that jab. And what I want to see him do is before Gibson kind of crouches him, gives him no room to breathe, I'd like to see him move out of that corner because that's where he was most effective, is with that jab.
Well, you mentioned the jab and you mentioned the things Gibson was doing to eliminate that jab. What does Molinar have to do to stop Gibson from putting him up against the ropes? Because Gibson was the aggressor and he was forcing Molinar into that situation because he knows he doesn't want to be hit with the jab.
Yes, so I think what needs to happen is he's obviously moving backwards. Gibson is clearly the aggressor, moving forward, setting the pace. He needs to use his footwork and angle himself out of, he needs to angle himself out of those positions where he's going to be crowded by Gibson. So I'd like to see him use his jab and then immediately, get out of wherever he's located to a different angle so he can start using that jab. Space right now is Molinar's best friend.
And you notice that, we see Molinar's listed at 6 feet here. Gibson listed at 5'8".
Yeah.
So, you got that 4-inch difference. We don't have their reaches here on our card.
Yeah.
But, you got to figure that's the way Gibson has to find it. When you're giving up some height, it's noticeable in the ring. He's giving up some height, so he's trying to get inside, and that's probably the right move.
Mm-hmm. And if I had to say that based off that first round, I think Gibson landed the harder punches. They connected. I think Molinar's a bit more disciplined, but I think you'd probably off cleaner punches. You got to give that round to Gibson.
And a lot of time, the more active fighter is going to get the benefit with the judges. Isn't that what you've experienced?
Yeah. And I think with Gibson, he's landed that left hook.
And we have Molinar's corner right to our right, and his instruction is telling Molinar to get off the rope. So he wants Marcus to get off the ropes there because that's where Gibson wants him.
That's exactly just kind of what we talked about. And you hear his coach saying double jab cross. So he wants to see more than just one punch, right? Just in one jab. I'd like to see a double jab. Wants him off the ropes. And we have his corner, Coach Sean Holmes is cornering Molinar tonight.
Well, what I've noticed, Gibson, every time he lands a couple of punches, he stays going forward, and it kind of eliminates any sort of counterattack by Molinar because he's closing that space, and Molinar can't tee off right back at him.
No, absolutely, and I think that's typically what you're going to tend to see from a shorter boxer, somebody that doesn't have as much length as their opponent is you want to eliminate that distance between them, and that's what I'd like to see Gibson do. Is if he's going to crowd, I would like to at least see him try to create some openings where he can land effective shots very close inside. I think what did work for Molinar is when he finds Gibson pressing against him is he went to that left uppercut, but I want to see Molinar standing up. I want to see him kind of get back to that left side and throw that left uppercut. See, you just saw it right there.
The body shot right
there.
there.
Right there, he did it again.
Yeah, that was a big body shot right at the end of that round from Molinar.
Yeah.
I feels like, again, activity level, you mentioned the big shots. It feels like Gibson's got to be ahead in this fight. And keep in mind, folks, this isn't like the boxing you'll watch on TV. You can't have like a 10-7 round, a 10-8 round. It's just either win or lose the round.
Correct.
There's no win by 2, so it would just be each fighter has won this round, whatever. But it would just be like essentially like a 1-0 round.
Absolutely, and that's how you eliminate a draw in a 3-round bout. Is if somebody scores a knockdown, like you said, it won't be a 10-8 round. It's either red or blue is either going to win or lose the round. So it's basically
it also makes it, what I like about it, it also makes it so if you have a bad round, like let's say if you have a bad first round, you can still come back in the fight. I know you have some experience with that, but you can still come back in the fight after a bad first round. But in a 3-round fight, hold on, there's a bottle cap here. Bottle cap in the bench. Ref, bottle cap. Bottle cap.
That's right. All right. And Gibson's continuing to press, and I would say based off of the pressure that Gibson's pressing, I would say that he's probably won the first 2 rounds. He's the aggressor. He's setting he's fighting the fight that he wants to fight right now. Essentially,
he's dictated the pace from the opening bell.
And I think that's what wins him the rounds. This is the fight he wants. And I think we're going to see a standing 8 right. Oh nope, ref is breaking them for the pushing. Oh, great straight right.
It didn't really look much different than what Gibson done the first 2 rounds.
Oh, good body shots by Molinar. Good body shots. And if you can see, with the pressure that Gibson's providing, it's kind of eliminating the space that Molinar is able to do by throwing those body shots. And the ref's going to give him another warning about pushing.
To you, does it look much different this round than what it did the first 2, what Gibson is doing? Because to me, it doesn't look much different.
I think Gibson's kind of using his left arm kind of using his forearm to press against him. And I think you can kind of get away with that, but you can't just keep your forearm there.
Okay.
Okay, right hook by Gibson. Oh, left hook by Molinar.
And now here's where the conditioning really comes into play in this 3rd round.
Great hooks by Gibson. And what a great fight to start off the night by 2 fighters that have fought previously.
I mean, what more could you ask for, right? We had 2 guys come out, and they were active the entire time, right? Sometimes you watch these longer fights, 9-round, 12-round fights. You have those rounds where you can feel each other out. Not in a 3-round fight. There's no time to feel the other fighter out, and both these guys know it. They came out and attacked right from the opening bell.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to gauge. You know, you might see that from some of your more experienced fighters. However, you have 6 minutes. A lot of your experienced fighters have great conditioning where they can gas out every round. But some of your not as experienced, conditioning might not be there.
And we missed this before. We have some information from the fighters, and Marcus Molinar, you want to talk about fighting for something, fighting for somebody. He's fighting for his mother as she passed away September 29th. We're talking about not even a month ago. And here he is out here competing, and I mean, boy, incredible effort.
Unanimous decision, and the winner fighting out of the blue corner, Kyle Gibson.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, your winner out of the blue corner, Kyle Gibson from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Atwater. Again, he set the pace the entire fight. He fought the fight that he wanted to fight. I felt like Marcus could have won that fight if he made changes early on, where he could have used that jab more and fought more effectively. Not against the ropes. I think Marcus, where he's best is in the center of the ring, moving around, using that jab in boxing.
Yeah, again, not a lot of time to make those adjustments, and I think you have to credit Kyle Wildboy Gibson, because he, like you said it a number of times, he fought the fight he wanted to fight, and it was effective, and boy, he did a tremendous job.
And I do want to say this. So we asked questions to the fighters, and with Kyle Gibson, favorite fighter or boxer? Himself, as he says. And what made him want to box? And I remember this answer that he gave us previously from another fight. He said that he needed a hobby besides drinking. So I love that. It's a healthy outlet. I love it.